Randy Boyd to come and speak to us. I want to point out that we have aldermen here. If you're an alderman, would you stand, of your various cities throughout the counties? Thank you. Yep. We have mayors here, including the mayor of Pulaski, but also mayors of Elkton and, yes, yep. We have county commissioners that are with us today. If you could stand. Thank you. And we have a variety of business leaders, lawyers. We got a few of those here. We got bank presidents and just people that have been the fiber of Giles County for years and years. And we gather today to talk about something that's very, very exciting. I also want to point out that along with President Randy Boyd, we have the Senior Vice President of the UT system with us, David Miller. David, where are you? He's raising his hand over there. That's who you go to get permission to do stuff. Senior Vice President David Miller. That's on the operations side. And then on the academic side, you go to the Vice President of Academic Affairs, and her name is Linda Martin. Yes. Excited to have them. And then the person that keeps us from saying things we shouldn't, Tiffany, is the VP of Public Relations. And we appreciate Tiffany being here. We're going to have these leaders speak in a little bit in terms of their response to this opportunity. As you know from the public announcement, we are in the process of discussing the acquisition of Martin College by the University of Tennessee system to become its fourth undergraduate institution, the first since its establishment at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, yet an acquisition of another Methodist school back over 50 years ago. Today with us, we have our current chair, Richard Warren. Where are you, Richard? Richard Warren, are you? There he is over here. And our immediate past chair, Byron Trauger. I think he had to step out and do some business, but Richard, his mother went here, and was it her mother? Your wife's grandmother went here graduated in 1920, mother in 1943. They would not have been educated if it weren't for this place. Their father was the pastor, the senior pastor at the second largest church in Clifton, Tennessee. Again, we're glad that you're here, and I want to welcome President Randy Boyd to the podium. Many of you know him. He has proven his heart throughout the years as Director of Economic Development for the state, but truly his heart in the way of education through his work with Governor Haslam, Drive to 55, the Tennessee Promise Initiative, the UT Promise Initiative. The list goes on and on. He's a serial entrepreneur, he's a great philanthropist, and he is a wonderful, wonderful leader in our state. And so without further ado, I'm going to ask him to come and to address you. There will be some time for questions, so if you think of something you want to ask, I'll retrieve that question and bring it back to the podium.
Thank you, Mark, for that kind introduction. It's really great to be back in Pulaski and Giles County. I've been here many times. In 2013, I was a special advisor on higher education with Governor Haslam, so I went to visit all of the private institutions across the state. And that was my first time actually getting to find out about Martin Methodist. And It's got such an incredible history and tradition. I was so impressed then about the difference in contribution that this university makes in this part of our state. Then a few years later, I was with the Commissioner of Economic and Community Development. I met your mayor, Pat Ford, and he was telling me what he taught. I thought, hey, if you ever want a free lecturer to come and talk about entrepreneurship, I'd be glad to come. And I got the opportunity to come back again and talk with some of the students. I'm not sure how impressed they were, but nobody got up and left, which is better than the next time I came when I was running for governor. Gave a talk at that time. And I don't think anybody got up and left that time either, but multiple times getting the opportunity to come and visit it at Martin Methodist, and very impressed with the community and the history of the school. I want to share just two background things I think is important to know. One's personal, and that is, when I was Commissioner of Economic and Community Development, one of the things that I learned really quickly, if you're going to be successful in bringing businesses to any community, you have to have a trained workforce. People will not bring their businesses to a community where there's not an educated workforce that can fill the jobs that they need. It was the most important thing to doing a job. And the other thing I learned during that time was that we had a lot of our rural communities that were getting left behind. All the jobs were going to Nashville or Knoxville or Murfreesboro. We weren't getting them to come to our rural communities. So it was pretty obvious the thing we needed to do was invest in rural education. So we created something called the Governor's Rural Task Force, which focus was on trying to make sure that we had great education in our rural communities. Another reason why I was so impressed with everything that Martin Methodist does in this part of our state. I think you know, and Mark might correct me if I've got my numbers a little off, but I think roughly 80% of the students are graduating in teaching and in nursing. It's going to be hard to get a nurse from Davidson County or Knox County to come to Giles County. But you can have a student from Giles County come to Martin Methodist, learn nursing, and stay in Giles County. It's such a critical role that Martin Methodist plays in educating and having the key workforce that we need. Later on, I got to have the great opportunity of being the president of the University of Tennessee. I met your coach a few moments ago, your new Hall of Fame coach, who mentioned that he had supported me in another application that I had applied, another job I applied for that I didn't get. But as I told him, I think God has a plan for each of us, and his plan is usually better than the one that you had for yourself. And I truly believe that I'm in the absolute best place I could be. If you believe in education, you're passionate about education, and you want to help the state of Tennessee, being the University of Tennessee president is the best place you could possibly be. And one of the things that I was aware of about the University of Tennessee, but I don't think I really appreciated until these last couple of years, was what our mission is. And I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee. I graduated from the University of Tennessee. I've been on advisory boards, seems like all my life, one way or the other, involved in it. But the thing that I didn't appreciate nearly enough, but that we're celebrating now, is that the University of Tennessee is the land-grant university of the state of Tennessee. Many of you know this, but maybe for a few that don't, what is a land-grant university? Well, in 1862, President Lincoln had this idea, or actually Senator Morrell had this idea that was backed by President Lincoln, of the Morrell Act, in which they created land-grant universities. The idea was to give each state a university that was there to support the middle class and the working class and give them a ladder up to better jobs and a better opportunity. And that was our role. It wasn't to be some elite college, and we had plenty of those at the time. Back when this was created, there was the Harvards and the Yales, and they were teaching very elite education to the rich and the wealthy. There wasn't such a thing as a university that taught business and engineering and agriculture. And so these universities were kind of a revolutionary idea. At the University of Tennessee today, we want to celebrate that history. We want to continue to be the university that celebrates and provides opportunity for the working class and the middle class, provides that ladder up for a better job and for a better opportunity. Recently, we at the University of Tennessee Knoxville, now we have 4 campuses, but the University of Tennessee Knoxville got moved up in the rankings of U.S. News and World Report from 52nd to 44th. Now in some audiences, I'm told that we're not going to broadcast this everywhere, but it may be out there anyway, so I don't mind saying it publicly. But I don't really like U.S. News and World Report's rankings. I'm happy that we moved up in the rankings, and sometimes we'll brag about it, but I really don't like the rankings. And the reason for that is that one of the ways you get ranked higher is by what they call selectivity. And what selectivity means is how many students do you reject? How many students do you keep out of your school? And that's the exact opposite of who we want to be. We want to be known for who we include, not who we exclude. We want to be known as a university that provides access and opportunity to more students. Recently, we created something called the UT Promise, which says if you have a family income of under $50,000, you can come to any one of our campuses, as long as you can meet the academic requirements. You can come to any one of our campuses free of tuition and fees. We're the only system in the country that does that. All of our universities, part of our system, are able to offer that opportunity to students. So that's who we want to be. So I share all that with you to say that about 4 months ago, when I was traveling across the state, meeting with all the extension agents, and I wanted to visit every one of our extension agents in each one of our counties, and UT has an extension agent in every county, obviously here in Pulaski as well. I thought, I ought to take the time to visit with Mark LaBranch at Martin Methodist and find out if there's some ways in which we could collaborate. I knew about the college, I knew about its great history. I met Mark once before, but I didn't know him well. I thought, I bet there's some ways in which together we could be better, finding ways to collaborate and share programming. And so when I sat down with him, he spent the first 30 minutes talking about Martin Methodist and their mission. And it sounded like he was giving me our mission back to me. The mission of serving the people of southern Middle Tennessee, of providing that ladder up for the working class and the middle class, of providing access and opportunity, providing the workforce development in this part of the state. And immediately we realized, our missions are the same. And I think the most important part of a union, most important part of joining forces is to have a shared mission. It's not like you have two organizations that have two different missions, and you're trying to find some back office synergies. But this was two organizations that started off with the most important thing in sharing the same mission. And so the more we talked about it, we realized, we could take this so much further than just some collaborations and a few programs. We can actually be on the same team, working together as the same family. And so that led us to where we're at today, to being able to talk about a possible merger between the traditions of Martin Methodist and the University of Tennessee. And the old business adage of 1 + 1 = 3. How could we be so much more together than we are individually? And we think that we can do that. One of the things we think we can do is help grow the campus. And we think about some of the more affordable offerings that we'll be able to provide as a result of additional state funding. And there will be state funding that would be a part of this. And by doing that, we'd be able to provide even more offerings. So imagine a college with all the traditions and history that Martin Methodist has, with the same mission, but with programming, tuition that is much lower, more affordable for more students in the area. And imagine Martin Methodist that has broader offerings in other areas that are needed by the workforce in this region. We think all those things are important. By doing this, we will be able to bring more students, or keep more students in the area. And I think we can grow in 3 ways, but one is by just having more students decide to stay home. Now, that doesn't really gain the state much. If they decide to come here versus go off to Knoxville or to Martin or to another campus, the state hasn't necessarily grown, but this community has grown. You're keeping your talent home. And sometimes, sadly, when they go off to Knoxville or to Nashville or to Chattanooga, they don't come back. If we can keep them here, we can to get their education. Hopefully, we can keep them here to have their work. There'll be other students that are looking for or not sure if they want to even go to college, but now if we can make it more affordable and have more things that are more attractive to them, more students from the region will be able to go to college that might not have otherwise gone. So that's the second area in which we expect to be able to grow. And the third is we want to keep them from leaving our state. We want Martin Methodist to be a firewall on the southern border. Too many students are going to Alabama. We have 4 universities just on the other side of the border that offer in-state tuition. They're attracting our students to their communities. Oftentimes when they go to Alabama, they don't come back. Now, being from Tennessee, I can't imagine why, but that does happen. But they do. We don't want to take that chance. Why would they have to go to Alabama if they can get a great education here? So we want to make sure that we can build that firewall. And in fact, maybe a fourth way in which we grow, wouldn't it be great if we had some billboards in Huntsville and say, let's get a University of Tennessee degree just 30 miles north. Come to Tennessee and get a UT degree. So I think there's a possibility that not only can we build a firewall, but we can build a magnet and pull students from the north of Alabama into this part of the region, and then we get to keep that talent. Finally, I would say I think this is a win-win-win. I think it's a win for the faculty and administration within Martin Methodist, the opportunities of being part of the state, and we've done the analysis and the benefits on the main are much better. The security, the benefits, I think there'll be a lot of great advantages for everybody that works with Martin Methodist. I think it's going to be a great advantage for the community of Pulaski and Giles County and southern Middle Tennessee There'll be more funding that comes in, and which means more growth, which means more economic stimulus for the community. There's more sustainability. Public institutions are very stable, so you've got a sustainability path that will last. The University of Tennessee has been around for 225 years. Will be around for another century. So you have that, I think, as a benefit. And then finally, back to the students, and it's all back and finishes and starts with the students, is that the students are going to have a better opportunity to get a better education. They'll have more affordable education. They'll have more offerings, and we believe, and they'll have more opportunities to transfer to other campuses within the UT system once they graduate from here. So all those things will be, I think, huge advantages to our students. So for all those reasons, I'm incredibly excited about this opportunity. I should caution, and as Mark mentioned, we have my Vice President of Communications here with me, and she's also in charge of discommunication, not over-communicating. So one of the things I've got to make sure that I share is that we've got a lot of hurdles left to overcome. So we've got to do some due diligence. We've already spent a lot of time getting to know each other. We need to learn more, making sure that there's not anything that either of us have seen and not seen on the other side that we don't know. So we need to do all that hard work, from the financial to the legal to the HR, all those things we need to do. We're going to have folks come and check the HVAC, and all those type of things to make sure there's nothing on either side that's a surprise. Then our boards have to approve this. And both boards, we hope, will be able to get together this fall and review all the due diligence and make a decision to move forward. We believe that they're already very enthusiastic, but like everyone, they need to make sure that they've seen all the due diligence. And then finally, we're going to need to have the legislature to support this, and we need to have their approval to move forward. We feel very positive, and based on conversations with the leadership in the administration and the leadership in the legislature, that they're going to be very supportive. Like me, like all of us at this podium, we believe in Southern Middle Tennessee, we believe in rural education, we believe in workforce development for our economy. So I think all of them understand it and get it and will be supportive. But we can't take that for granted. So we've got a lot of work left to do. But if all those things happen, hopefully by next summer, by this time next year, we can be all part of the same family and working together to achieve the common mission that we've both have agreed to have. Well, with that, I'm going to stop and just say I thank you for coming today. We're excited about this opportunity. You'll expect to see a lot more of me and my team over the next year, and excited about this opening conversation. Thank you so much.
Now, if you're a trustee of Martin Methodist College, and I see several, would you please stand? See Jim Edmondson and Sarah Reese and Brenda. So it's hard to see you in your Sarah Garner, and we've got Doran Johnson and Steve Spivey and Zach Moffitt and Richard Warren, and somewhere we have Byron Trogger. I don't have a vote in this. They vote, and the vote we're talking about in later fall, they're going to be looking, as President Boyd put it, at a couple of things. Let me tell you what they're concerned about. And I think that President Boyd put it extremely well. It's about mission. And so their main concern was, are we going to continue on our same mission? And they've convinced us of that, mainly because we serve people. Not only do they have a system-wide need to fulfill that land grant institutional role, but also it's because people like Randy Boyd are first-generation students themselves, graduating at the age of 16 from University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And, 19, okay. He went at 16, graduated in 3 years. I didn't get the whole story, that's right. That would have been even more amazing. I'm surprised Tiffany didn't raise her hand about that one. But and then Linda Martin, who is their VP of Academic Affairs, grew up in a town. I don't know if you didn't have a flashing light, did you? No flashing light in the Midwest, and no flashing light. And David Miller, who is the SVP first of the Wisconsin system, now of University of Tennessee system. Linda was at the Ohio State system. But both bring experience, and I'll tell you, David, his dream is to retire and to help churches be better stewards of their finances, and that really resonated with me. So we have it in our bones what we're about in helping to, as one person reminded me of what Cal Turner told me, we're trying to discover the genius in this area of the country and give accessibility like this college has given since its inception to those who may not have it, those who are Pell eligible and those who are also first generation. So with that, I wanted to give an opportunity for some folks to speak to this. One of the things that President Boyd pointed out was that we're going to need the support of our legislators. And I'm proud to say that we have two that stepped up right away, saw the opportunity, didn't ask why not. President Boyd said, or why we can't, but why not? And so I'm very grateful for that. But I wanted them to say it in their own words. And so first, I'll ask the mayor of Pulaski. By the way, be in prayer for our county mayor. Her family has COVID virus. She's going to be quarantined for 14 days. In a moment, I'm going to ask David Womble, one of our commissioners, to come forward and speak from his heart as a business. He's been out fixing air conditioners, so he's not in a tie. But he's going to come and speak from his own heart about what this would mean to him. But first, let's ask our mayor, Pat Ford.
Thank you, Dr. LaBranch. You're kidding me, right? Are you serious about this? There's no way. Look, I've heard a rumor, and I want to know if it's true. I am absolutely blown away by this opportunity. Pat, do you realize this could be the biggest thing to happen to this community ever? These are the types of things I've heard from our community leaders over the past couple of weeks. These are the things that some of you in this very room have said to me over the past couple of weeks. And I can tell you, the excitement of this community is hitting levels that I've never seen it hit. There are a lot of traditions that this college, that this campus has. And because I've been a part of this campus my entire adult life, for almost 30 years, I've been a part of this campus, and I've seen the traditions. And some you know about, some you don't know about. Some are just for us insiders. We'll keep those for us. Or maybe we'll share them with you. But one of the traditions I love about this college is the relationship we have with our community. Now, many of you know I have a strong love for this college for obvious reasons, but I also have a strong love for the community, again, for very good reasons. That tradition of a partnership of this college and this community will not go away. This is an opportunity to enhance that relationship, to build more into that, to have opportunities for our local community to grow, to have more population. I hear it all the time. When can we get better restaurants? When can we get more retail? When can we, guess what? Right here is an opportunity. So I see the excitement. I know the excitement that's built up around this. And that's one of the things that President Boyd here has said to me every time I've talked to him about this. He said, just please make sure that there's some excitement, at least a little, right? At least a little excitement. But let me tell you, I wish I could bottle up the excitement that this community has about this opportunity and present it to you, because let me tell you, this really could be the best thing to happen to this community.
You know how they say in church, if you're happy and you know it, shout amen. If you're happy and you know it, amen. Amen. All right. David Womble is one of our county commissioners and also a business owner in town. And the air is working fine.
Yeah. Well, I was asked to speak about 5 minutes ago.
I know, yes.
So, Martin College has been a part of my family's history. My grandmother attended Martin in the 40s, my mother in the 60s, and I in the 90s. I've lived in Giles County my whole life, as a lot of people I see here, and I see this as the biggest thing that has ever happened to Giles County. Now, I'm a county commissioner, and I think I speak for other county commissioners when I say the opportunities that you and UT can bring to this community for the people that we represent are opportunities like we've never seen before. I'm sure I speak for the commissioners here when I say you have our 100% full support. We're very excited and very thankful, and we have heard rumors of discounted tickets, season tickets. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Now, we heard a rumor that Pat Ford was going to wear a Tennessee polo. This comes through. He didn't tell you that you can still pull for another team. I won't even mention those teams. And then I'd like Randy Boyd said, we need the support of our legislators, and we don't have to convince them, but they've been very enthusiastic. But it helps for them to know how you feel, and I know that many of you have connections in the state and can use them to help this process as well. So first, Clay Doggett. And this whole year, we've been celebrating up to July the 150th anniversary of the college. And back before the pandemic, we had requested a resolution by our state recognizing and celebrating 150 years of providing access to education in southern Middle Tennessee. And so we were not able to consummate that act because of COVID, but now here today, he's not only to speak about this opportunity that's before us, but also to celebrate our past. So please.
Thank you, Dr. LaBranch. It's one of the biggest, hardest secrets that I've ever been asked to keep. When I was called a little over a month ago and asked to come to his office, I hadn't been in the president's office of Martin College since 2001, and I was in trouble then, so I was worried I might be in trouble now. But when I went in, and it was some kind of big secret, that's all my assistant in Nashville knew, was some kind of big secret, and I had no idea what was going on. And he starts talking and telling the story, 150 years, it's been a good run. We've done a lot of great things. A lot of lives have been touched and impacted. This community has grown. Has played a vital part of Giles County and southern Middle Tennessee. And my heart is sinking in my chest because we're talking about COVID and some of the impacts and things that it's had on our community. And I'm thinking that he's about to tell me the school is going to close. But then he says, ran into Randy Boyd one day and we sit down and begin talking about a partnership. And long story short, we're looking at making a merger with the University of Tennessee system. And I about jumped out of the chair in there in his office. I was so excited. This is, again, extremely, extremely great for our community, for Giles County, for Pulaski. I was a student there enrolled in 2001 here on campus. We had, that was the largest number of students that we had ever had in the history of Martin Methodist College at that time. There was 505 students. And so we met down in front of Martin Hall there and got on the green, and we made the number 505 and they took a picture of us, and that was pretty neat. Now the numbers enrollment has gone up every year. This is going to be, again, a big deal for this area. I've been getting a lot of phone calls when this was announced back a few Fridays ago that this was in the works, and people were calling and asking what my opinion was on this, and of course I would share with them my support for this merger. And a lot of people were excited because now they'll have an opportunity, instead of having to go out of state or halfway across the state, to go to a state school where they can use some of those scholarships and those funds that they're eligible for when they graduate high school, that they can stay right here at home. And students that are over in Wayne County, Perry County, Hardin County, now can come to Giles County. And when I was enrolled here, there were several students, several folks, friendships, relationships that I made here in 2001, 2002 to 3. People that came here from other parts of the state, from Alabama, Georgia, Ohio, different areas, and they never left. They're still here. And I think Pat, when Pat Ford, Mayor Ford, was, I guess, a freshman here, I was 7 years old. But sorry, Pat. Hey, Pat was the cool guy on campus when I came in 2001. He had all the info and everything. I think he was sports and information director then. We had a great relationship working with Pat. He was awesome. Life of the party still is. But Pat's one of those. He came from North Alabama, and he's still here and is a vital part of our community. And there's so many. There may be some of you in this room that came to Martin College from other parts of our country, and now you're here. But I've got this resolution here, and Senator Hensley and I, we brought this resolution before both houses to commemorate the 150 years that Martin College and then Martin Methodist College has played a vital role here in our state and in the southeast region. And so I'd like to present that to Dr. LaBranch at this time. So here you go, sir. We'll shake. There you go. Thank you, sir. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Clay. And now, last but certainly not least, Senator Dr. Joe Hensley.
Thank you, Dr. LaBranch and Randy Boyd. Thank you for what you're doing. I've worked with President Randy Boyd now for several years, as he's done other things in the state, but he's working so hard at UT, and I was so excited when I heard the news about Martin Methodist and UT, and I really appreciate President Boyd, because this would not happen if it wasn't for him supporting this ideal. So thank you, and thank you for being here today, and thank you for all of you. Martin Methodist has done so much over 150 years, not only for Pulaski and Giles County, but all of the surrounding counties. It's been a benefit. Pulaski is so fortunate. We have a vocational school here as well. I see Mike Whitehead here, and Pulaski is so fortunate to have Martin Methodist here all these years. And I'm so excited to work on this project and get it done. In the legislature, I serve on the education committee. I am committed to do my part to get this accomplished so that we can see this dream a reality, and it will benefit all of the surrounding counties. It'll be so good to people to say UT Knoxville, UT Chattanooga, UT Martin, UT Pulaski. So Tennessee is so well respected all across this nation. They educate students, and education is so important for our businesses, for our students to be able to stay close to home, and all the surrounding counties, as Clay had mentioned, but Lawrence County and Murray County. I was in Spring Hill earlier today and talked to them in Spring Hill about this opportunity for Murray County students to come to Giles County. So Giles County will will benefit from students coming all across the southern Middle Tennessee area to get a education in Pulaski that will compare to a education anywhere in this country. And I look forward to getting back into session in January. I'm not sure all of the details we're going to have to get accomplished, but I am certainly committed on the Education Committee to get those things done. And thank you for your hard work, and Dr. LaBranch. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hensley and Representative Doggett, Mayor Pat Ford, and Commissioner David Womble. Senator Hensley mentioned something that reminded me of one of the most frequently asked questions around this opportunity, and that is, what are we going to call it? And it has not been determined yet. And in talking to the public relations folks at UT System, we do want it to not be identified necessarily with a certain place, but a region. So we're thinking along those lines. And we're going to get input from folks when we go to get to the point of naming this opportunity. We think it'll be beyond when our trustees have their vote, and then we'll talk about names for the prospective campus when we get there. Other questions that you have about this, and I'll come and listen to you if you want to raise your hand. Okay? Yes, ma'am. I was going to say one thing about, yes, one of the things that was mentioned was about the young folks in town, and I know on the day of the announcement, Robbie Shelton, who's our Vice President of Operations, and our Director of Enrollment, Tyler, went over to the high schools to let them know in advance, and there was an extreme amount of enthusiasm, and that has spilt over into the young people. You mentioned that your son's a sports recruiter, and although we're not going to be a D1 team anytime soon, we certainly are excited about flying under the banner of the UT system. And then the question was, as a part of the economic development and the workforce development, and let me say this, I think we do need workforce. I'm using the term people development because workforce sounds like we're just creating automatons to put it. We're trying to develop people for vocations, for places in where they can be productive and benefit society. But anyway, yes, what can the county, what can the county do? What can economic development do to make this successful? How do we prepare for this opportunity? President Boyd?
Well, thank you. That's a great question. I do like people development. Maybe I may start borrowing that and using that more often. But it's a great question. I think we have our TCATs here. Whether you're running a TCAT or you're running a PhD program at Oak Ridge National Labs, the most important thing is to talk to the community about what the needs are. So I think there's two key things, and there's many more, but two key things. One is that as an institution, we had to be responsive to the community and listen. So the community also has to be able to share with us. So we have to make an effort to make sure that we're learning what the community's needs are and making sure that we provide the opportunities that the students want to learn in any area that they want to learn, but most importantly, we need to try to guide them into the areas in which the community needs them. We mentioned we need more nurses, we need more teachers, but we need to do everything we can to to help shepherd them into the areas in which the community needs. And we only know that by engaging and listening. You probably have them at Martin Methodist now. I know at UT, most of the colleges all have advisory boards that are made up of community leaders or state leaders that can help advise the college on the right type of curriculum and the right type of degrees. The second thing the community can do is give the students more workplace training. Internships and apprenticeships are so critical. I think Mark mentioned I graduated from the University of Tennessee at age 19. The thing I'm most proud of is that I paid my way through, and I always tell people, don't make the mistake of assuming that because I graduated at age 19 it was because I was smart. It's just because I was cheap, and you learn pretty quickly it's cheaper to graduate early. But I look back on that experience and I think I learned I learned as much working as I did at school itself. Giving those students the opportunity to be engaged in the workforce here in the community is a critical component. So internships, apprenticeships is another way in which the community can really step up to provide a better education and experience for these students. Thank you.
I think also and we've talked a little bit about this with some of the leaders in town, we want to prepare for growth. One of the things that the college will certainly experience is a perhaps doubling of its faculty and staff eventually, all of which will be looking for places to live and places for their children to be in school. We hope that as with University of Tennessee Martin, that we could attract a software company or some high paying jobs to this area. We need to start thinking about all of that. I know the questions that when you talk about economic development, yes, you're talking about roads and water and all of that. The game changer is quality of life. And so how do we improve our health care opportunities here? And we've got great educational opportunities and health care opportunities. We just need to promote them. We need more places to live. And so when a professor asks me, how are the schools? I can just say, man, they're fine. Our people send their children to our schools. We've got a lot to show. And I think bringing that together, enhancing it, is going to really help us to be prepared to lay hold of the opportunity that's before us. Questions? So one of the things that has been very important to us and really existential over the years has been our relationship with the church. And the reason why we have a relationship with the church, it's all about mission. That in the Methodist Church, starting with John Wesley, it was very important to educate, to provide accessibility to education, and that's how we got started. And so when we started talking about this change, we talked about the mission, and the church has been very supportive in that they realize that this is an opportunity to extend our mission. And so, and that's what they're about. How do we, I call it contextualizing the gospel. In other words, how can we bring the good news into context, whether it be education, health, whatever? This will give us a greater opportunity. And along with that, Doran Johnson, who's one of our trustees and a Methodist, we are making sure as a board of trustees and as an administration that we will keep some of the important connections with the Methodist Church. One such connection will be in student ministry. And so we'll have the opportunity to endow a student ministry on campus, but not just for Methodists, but also for people of different denominations. Throughout southern Middle Tennessee, we have a large population of those who go to the Church of Christ, for instance. And so what I found on the campuses of UT is that spiritual life is robust, and we expect it to become even more robust, and we plan to make sure of that, at least on the Wesleyan side, by having an endowed student ministry. The pastor of the First Methodist Church is here. He's one of our trustees. And he'll tell you that we've been kind of dreaming together that ministry will find its place right in the Sharp building. that is adjacent to that church, and so we're very excited about a more robust ministry on campus. People get the impression that somehow that there is this very strict line between state institutions and faith-based initiatives, and that's really not necessarily true. And that leads me to talk about the Turner Center, which is Cal Turner endowed, and that is our effort to reach out to rural southern Middle Tennessee, not just to use the power of the permanent stakeholders that we find in churches to be about the work of God as it relates to health and economic development. God's a part of all that. And so we're looking forward to maintaining that center. It'll be endowed, and it will work hand in hand with the university and with faith-based institutions to make the world a better place. And so I want you to be aware of that as well. I'm not giving up my faith. I don't think you're giving up your faith. So we're people who are people of faith, and that will be a part of our value system going forward, regardless of whether we're quote-unquote a state institution or a private institution. We've always been a private institution on a public mission. Other questions? Yes, Richard Warren. So those of you who are Methodists know that the Methodists meet annually for an annual conference, and they did it virtually this time. And during that conference, you would think that they might act adversely toward us for considering this opportunity. In reality, what they did is they kept our budget line item in the budget. It is secure until such time that we're acquired. That funding will be replaced, obviously, by funding, at least for the school, by state funding that would have to be approved by legislature. But they also made a commitment that that funding wouldn't go away necessarily, that it could be used for a Wesley Foundation, but also to help the work of the Turner Center. So they're very amenable to this. One of the things that has not been said is that this college is in great condition relative to the pandemic. We ended the year with surplus. We've got a reserve. We're not doing this out of some desperate need, but we're doing it because we don't want the good to be the enemy of the great, as Collins said. So this is an opportunity for us. You can't get these opportunities if you're not strong. UT would not be interested in this campus if we were running deficits and our buildings were falling apart. They've already determined that's not the case, and they'll be doing more to determine that that's not the case. But I just want to make that point as well. Other questions? I want to give President Boyd the last word here, and then I want to thank all of you. We've got faculty coming in at about 3 o'clock. And staff for a meeting. So I would ask you to exit at this door down here immediately following closing words by President Randy Boyd.
Thank you, Mark. I didn't know I had the last word, but I'll maybe use it judiciously and say two things. One, as my former boss, Governor Haslam, used to say, leadership matters. And nothing could happen without the right leadership in place at the right time. And having Mark LaBranch in this role at this time was critical to having these kind of conversations, to have a leader that's willing to have an open and transparent and frank conversation about what's best for his institution, not necessarily thinking about himself, but thinking about how do we best serve our mission. It was just great to have that conversation and be able to work with him. And we've already become great friends, and I'm looking forward to hopefully the opportunity to be working with him even more closely for a long time to come. And second, just a promise. The one thing that we can guarantee, well, there's a lot of things we can't guarantee. There's the legislators and a board and an accrediting agency and a lot of other people that have to weigh in before this is done. But the one thing we can promise is we're going to be inclusive. We're going to make sure that we're visiting with our faculty, our staff, our community as much as possible and get as much input as possible on everything we do. And we're going to be transparent. What we learn, we will share. What we know, we'll share it when we know it. When we don't know it, we'll just say we don't know. But we can promise to get input and be inclusive, and we promise to be transparent. And then I'm hopeful that about this time next year, we'll be having a new class of the University of Tennessee entering a campus in Pulaski, and look forward to growing with this community and visiting with you many times in the future. Thank you all so much.